what was one of the things that surprised you when you were pulling together some of your research for today's session, if anything at all?
I think for me, Purna, it was interesting putting it together because I've been just inundated with in the content world for a long time, and recently with AI, and just been talking to a lot of people. And it was kind of cool how when I was putting together this presentation, like the narrative just kind of flowed. But I was also surprised to as I really thought about it, to really like be able to bucket in like where AI like really can shine, and also where it really can't shine. And the kind of opportunities I've seen with agencies, producing a lot of content. Like it's such a like I was looking at some of our customers, and it's amazing to me just like how much agencies are able to save with AI and how much they're able to do with AI. It was like it was fascinating to really observe.
Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Andy, I love that we're all here so early. I said, since we are waiting and our audience has been told we started at the hour, I said we'll have a little chit chat before and get to say hello to everyone. By the way, look what I have been reading, Andy.
Oh, and I've got yours. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love this. This is so cool. Anton, we really need a screenshot of that. Hello everyone. Get Andy's book right now. It is super
Taking
awesome.
a screenshot.
Yes.
Hang on, hold them up.
I feel left out. I don't have anything to hold up.
Hold up.
This is packed. It's dense. There's so much in here.
I went a little over my word count. So.
This is a masterpiece. Congratulations on the job well done. It's a awesome challenge, right? To get it all down.
It is. It's probably, somebody asked me recently, like, did you enjoy writing it? And I was like, well, yes, it's like childbirth. Now I've forgotten all the pain and I think it was just magical. But there were really hard moments too. But it was really good learning in order to do it. What a privilege to get to write this and share it. And I love your book. I love the illustrations. I love how easy you make it to follow. And I love it all on Search Engine Journal and all of the writing and sessions that we all put together. Well,
yes,
welcome.
I was going to ask if I may have permission to add to that plug for a moment. We do have a sample chapter of Purna's book on the Search Engine Journal with a discount code if you haven't been able to buy a copy of the book yet. So just wanted to give that extra little plug because it just wouldn't be a day if I didn't.
You all are so lovely. Well, this is like the hottest session ever. No disrespect to any of the other speakers, but we hear this all the time. Everywhere I go, the number one question that I think all of us have gotten asked is AI. What's it going to do with content marketing? What's it going to do for us as our jobs as marketers? What should we pay attention to? What's hype? What's the reality? And we're so fortunate today that we have got not just one, but we've got two presentations and an incredible panel, and we are really covering all aspects of it. We've got Amanda, who is the editor-in-chief of Search Engine Journal, and I'm going to let each of you go in and do your intro. Though, Andy, please introduce me, because that would be so cool.
This is, so I've already said, I've already just briefly expressed here how, what you're going to get with this book. It is complete. I think that's the best thing I can say about it. But no, Purna is a globally recognized content strategist, best-selling author, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, principal consultant of content solutions at LinkedIn. So probably you've seen her stuff before. Probably you've read her stuff before. You've been adjacent to it for many years. Previously led global learning and thought leadership at Microsoft, award-winning former journalist. I'm reading through here. Top-rated international keynote speaker, featured in publications like The Drum and TechCrunch and TNW and Marketing Land and Adweek.
And Search Engine Journal.
I've never been, by the way, I've been in none of those. So you and I were destined to collaborate here. Recognized as an Adweek young influencer, that should say, and search personality here by US Search Awards.
You're super lovely, but I feel really embarrassed now. I'm like, I'm blushing under the.
It goes on. I'll stop there, but we are grateful and honored to have you.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. Amanda, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Search Engine Journal and SimilarWeb, for being our incredible sponsors for today. And thank you, Judah, for asking me to help host when they were like, do you want to come host a session where Andy and John and Amanda are speaking? I'm like, yes, sign me up. Like, I would be delighted. So anyway, I'm going to kick you off to John. John's going to be our first speaker today. John, you'll introduce yourself and your session. Then we're going to hand it off to Andy, and then we're going to have this in-depth panel where we grill all our speakers. So keep your questions coming in. I'll be monitoring the chat the whole time. But John, over to you. Tell us about yourself and tell us what you're going to present.
Absolutely. Thank you, Purna. I mean, basically, like, what has Purna not done? Purna is one of those people that, like, I see her at a conference and I just, like, big smile on my face, you know, just so excited to see her. She's such a lovely person. I don't know Andy and Amanda nearly as well, but super stoked to be here. My name's John. I'm the founder of a company called Editor Ninja. Also founded a company called Credo, which does lead generation for mostly marketing agencies, but also development and design. But Editor Ninja is a content editing service, content editing agency. If you're familiar with the design pickle model, it's basically what we do, except for content editing, specifically text editing. So we edit a lot of marketing content. And I'll, talk a little bit about editing as we get into this, because we've edited it's approaching 1 million words of AI content really in about the last 6 months. So we've got 6 editors, 7th one starting on Monday, managing editor, et cetera. So, I'll introduce myself as I kind of get into the presentation. Purna, should I go ahead and share my screen and take it away?
Take it away, John. The entire floor is all yours.
Let's do that. And
Amanda and I will chime in if needed, but definitely at the end we can all be open to a couple of questions at the end of your session before we go to.
I love it. Yeah, let's rock and roll. So today we're talking about AI and content creation and how to stand out, how agencies can stand out. As I said, my name's John. I've got 15 years of professional SEO and marketing experience. I started writing online in 1999 on Zynga. So I've been writing online for almost 25 years, which is insane. So I was professional SEO for a long time, working with clients like IHG, TravelX, New York Times. Also worked for Zillow in-house for a couple of years, running SEO and marketing on a couple of their brands. Built a couple of brands off the back of content marketing. Also my career off the back of content marketing. Credo's generated over $250 million of leads for digital agencies since it started. And Editor Ninja will cross 4 million words probably next Tuesday or Wednesday, which that'll mean our last million has only taken us a month. So things are growing. And a lot of that content is AI. So I'm super stoked to talk about this. I'm also a husband. I'm a dad. I have a 4.5-year-old daughter. We have a 4.5-year-old daughter, and a little boy on the way in November. So super stoked about that. I'm a traveler, a skier. I love to explore. I've been to 27 countries and 47 states. And I'm also a German car and whiskey aficionado. So there on the right, you can see my wife and daughter and I up in Alaska this summer. And then on the bottom there is me on a beach in Costa Rica back in January. And I specifically chose this because as Purna alluded to, I just get inundated with questions about AI. So I was there for a conference, for a mastermind with about 80 other entrepreneurs. And I told people what I do. And literally the first question from everyone is probably 65 of them I actually got a chance to really have a conversation with. And everyone said, but what does AI mean for this? And I'm like, oh, geez, this is like early January, right? And like ChatGPT launched in November of last year. And so I basically kind of masterminded and thought, with people about it. And I basically said up until about June of 2023, no one's really going to be thinking about it well. And after that, we're going to start seeing, a lot of content coming through. And I was exactly right. It was like mid-June that we started really seeing a lot of this content. So to kind of back up a little bit and give a quick history lesson, and just so y'all know, I'm the 10,000 foot view guy. I like to look at kind of the broader narrative and what's going on, and kind of help put all of this into context. And then I know Andy's going to go deeper on some specific use cases, which I'm stoked about. I got to view it as deck, and it's going to be super cool. But a year ago, our world changed, right? About 10 months ago, ChatGPT launched. Yes, LLMs and AI was around before that, and some companies were building their own, but this was the first widely available one. And everyone was ready to replace freelancers, right? So this is AI PRM, which I love. Shout out to Michael King and Christoph Kemper over there. Everyone was ready to replace freelancers. They're like, great, content's going to be free, right? And so people started, doing stuff. But I was skeptical, right? I'm a skeptical person by nature. If anyone's familiar with the crossing the chasm kind of chart here, I'm at the end of the visionaries, which means like I'm usually semi slow. I feel like I'm slow to adopt things, but I end up being quicker than, kind of the mass market. So I'm usually right at the end of the early adopters. But with this one, I got access like second day. I did 4 queries and like literally got goosebumps and went, this changes the game. I don't know how it changes the game, but it changes the game. I was positive of that. I was like front of the innovators, right? But my BS meter is super, super high. I mean, I've been in SEO for 15 years after all, right? So like there's a lot of BS out there. So I don't buy into the hype. I like to say I'm allergic to hype and BS. And when I looked at this, I was like, man, this is like Fiverr and SEO circa 2007 had kids. Like, what, seriously? Like, are we still, talking about this stuff? But there are a couple there in the middle that are kind of cool. And I'll go into this a little bit, but it felt like this is like, it's cheap, it's hacks. Like, what the heck are we talking about here? And so we tried a lot of things, right? Like writing full blog posts with just one prompt, right? Hey, ChatGPT, write me a 750 word blog post on insert topic, right? I just chose pet insurance because we have a big dog that likes to do stupid things outside. And so we have pet insurance. So write me a 750 word article on pet insurance. And like, it's basic. It's super, super basic, right? It's better than nothing, but it's like, it's just super surface level. And so I was a little bit like disappointed, but almost a year on, right? This is meant to show like it's been a slog, right? We're tired, we're smoking a cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but you get the point. This is pretty cool, right? We've learned some pretty cool use cases, right? Take that content and format it into HTML with the title as an H1 and subheadings as H2s, and it just spits it out for me. I could literally take this and plug it into a file on my website, and it'd be pretty good. Maybe not perfect, but pretty good. You can even use things like AI PRM to create prompts. You can write a prompt that creates a prompt that you can put into something that then creates an image. What? Like crazy. I don't have to go and like actually write this out and adjust it. I can just ask, like, I can just, literally with AI PRM, click a prompt, right? And it spits it out, and I can go and I can plug it into like a Midjourney or DALL-E or something like that. So AI is super cool, but let's back up for a second and talk about content marketing and SEO. The kind of marketing the classic marketing content that agencies out there are probably producing are things like blog posts, lead magnets, ebooks, social media copy, resources and glossaries, sales copy, on-page SEO content or SEO copy, right? Category pages and that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, let's not lose sight of the fact that content is meant to do one thing. It's meant to attract customers, attract prospects, and then they become customers, aka we make money. Right? We're in business. Let's not be shy about the fact that we're here to make money. Even if you're building topical authority for SEO by the content that you're producing, right? Getting a bunch of content out there so Google starts seeing your site as an authority on this topic, the goal is still unchanged. You're still trying to get your clients to rank well, so it drives traffic, so it drives business growth, right? And then they keep on paying you, which is how agencies really make their money, right? So singular goal of content, make money. Right? We're just super, super stoked about it. So content that drives business results, just a quick reminder, is speaks to the end user in their language. It covers their pain points. It helps them do their job better, even if they don't become a customer. Let's not lose sight of the fact that not everyone that's reading our content is meant to be a customer. And not everyone that should be our customer is actually going to make that choice. This content helps them go deeper on the topics. It reaches them at the right time, and it gets them to make a decision, even if that means they don't choose your client's offering, right? We're putting content out there to help people. But notice what I didn't mention. Remember, I mentioned that I've been in SEO for 15 years, right? I didn't mention keyword density. I didn't mention LSI keywords. I didn't mention SEO content. I didn't mention funnels, hacks, or tips and tricks, right? All of these things have their place, but they're uninteresting to me within the context of the broader conversation, because there's so much more that we can do with AI and so much that we can use it for to really help drive results, right? We literally have much bigger fish to fry in this conversation, right? And biggest fish you can get, the whale, right? So we've learned a lot, but there are a lot of pitfalls, and it's a little bumpy as we go, right? Google's policies, unfortunately, they're about as clear as mud, right? Not very, and they're changing all the time. AI content, it can be a risk for traffic. Here's a study that was a case study that was published by, my friend Kevin Indig. This was almost exactly a year ago, actually. So this is even before ChatGPT, that, people are already seeing issues with AI content being hit by high quality content updates. So this can be a risk for us. So this could lead us to ask the question, well, maybe we shouldn't use AI after all, right? Like maybe we shouldn't at all just, face palm, put your head into the wall. Like, oh no, we just have to keep doing things the way, we've always done them. But I think that would be the wrong takeaway and the wrong conclusion. There are a few more wrong takeaways from AI launching. Number one is that content's free. The truth is that AI content still requires skill to prompt. It requires a lot more editing than human created stuff, but you can still save a lot of money and a lot of time. Another wrong takeaway, we can fire all of our freelancers. Truth is, you still need SMEs, but you can probably cut costs on the front end, drafting of content. So as I said, you can get it back. You can get it back a lot faster, but it still needs a person, right? AI is still a tool. Strategy is done for us. The truth is that AI can be great for ideating, but a trained marketer is still needed to take it and to apply it to your specific use case, and then also to actually to make it happen, right? AI isn't sentient yet. It can't, it can't project manage stuff. As Harvard Business Review said, AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. So whether we like it or not, we have to learn to use it. So moving forward, I think we should ask the question, how can and should we use AI in content? It's not a should we, it's how can we and how should we use AI in content? I think I've seen that AI is a real winner in some key areas. It's great for things like more standard SEO content, right? Which was previously done by freelancers or just not done at all, right? I'm talking like our category page content, first drafts of web page copy. It can be great for that sort of ideation, writing summaries of a lot of content. I know one company that they're taking school board and like local government documents, and they're using AI to bring it all together and to write summaries, and then building all these like literally hundreds of thousands of local newsletters, all powered by AI, ingesting government data and writing like good summaries of it to then send out to people so that the general populace knows what's going on their local government level. Insanely cool. But AI isn't great for thought leadership or anything that really needs to be turned around fast, right? Because LLMs, they're not real time like a Google or something. So going back to this set, should we use AI? What I see is, so basically the way this legend works is green is to me is an absolutely, yellow is a yes, but we need to have a human look at it, and then red is probably not. Like I wouldn't really recommend it. So resources, glossaries, on-page SEO copy, awesome. Sales copy is great for ideation. Social media copy, great for drafting, but needs to be looked at. And then blog posts as well. So here are 5 great use cases for AI in your agency. So we're going to talk to research, drafting, unblocking creativity, reducing freelance costs, and increasing output from yourself and your employees. So one is research. I love doing this. I love asking ChatGPT questions. So versus previously, we would have had to do it in a different way. So for example, here I asked, what are Buffer's most potent competitors, right? Buffer is a social media scheduling tool. And it spat out, these ones. I can also get this with SEMrush, right? Looking at backlinks and keywords and that sort of stuff. But, and I love SEMrush. I've been a paying customer for a long time, but basically this was hidden behind, a login wall, a subscription wall. Drafting content, right? I can ask it to write me succinct definitions of things like, copy editing. What are some great copy editing certifications? That sort of stuff. Really good for getting that initial set of content to kind of just get words on a page, versus previously I would have had to go and find a freelancer and write a brief and all these things and get it put together. And it's great for getting those initial ideas out there. Things like this, Elementor, which is a WordPress page builder. They have AI features built in, so I can ask it to generate ideas for me for page titles and all of that sort of stuff. I can ask it to simplify it, make it longer, make it shorter, fix spelling and grammar, all of that sort of stuff. It's a great start, when you're stumped. Things like unblocking creativity. Sometimes some evenings I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, man, I just need like a little like hit of not even dopamine, but just like creativity and creating blog images and that sort of stuff. So I'll fire up, bing.com/create, which is powered by DALL-E, and I'll write some prompts and I'll get some super cool looking, images and such. And I can use these in different places. I can even have it like format tables and that sort of stuff. Reducing freelance costs. This is an interesting one and maybe really interesting to agencies. We've seen a number of agencies taking content creation in-house as opposed to working with outsourced platforms. And I think there's absolutely a place for the outsourced platforms. And there are outsourced platforms like Verblio, for example, that are using humans to create content using AI. Most of the platforms are doing that now. But I'm seeing agencies reduce costs by a ton by bringing content in-house, having some in-house SMEs, and then they're having editors like ours edit it, and they're able to reduce their content production costs by over 50%. You might not need a junior web developer anymore to format landing pages. I showed you earlier. You can ask AI to all right, take that content and format it this way with HTML, and it spits it out. And you don't need, so a non-coder, marketer or designer can do this with AI. Or things like drafting video scripts, that kind of thing, faster, more cost effective, and sometimes even better work, right? And at the end of the day, it just gets done, because a lot of times when you're working with freelancers, you don't have the skill set, et cetera. You put it off. Much easier to get AI to do it, or at least get you that first draft. And then things like increasing productivity, just a set of ideas for you, e-commerce product descriptions, content briefs for writers, ad copy ideas. Like, it's a way to get started. This isn't publish ready work, but it's a great way to get started. And we all know that increasing output gets results faster. This is a screenshot from SEMrush, from my own site. As we've produced content, we've done big content pushes, and number of keywords and amount of traffic and all of that scales up quickly. So, the more content you're able to get out, the better, as long as it's good content, right? Content and quality are kind of mixed. So to me, just a couple more slides here. The big difference with AI content as opposed to human created content. What are the big differences? The main one that we've seen is that it needs a lot more editing. It takes about as I said, we've edited about 1 million more words of AI content this year, in the last few months, honestly. And it takes about 50% longer than human generated content. It just needs a lot more review, and also the generating it in sections, as opposed to, asking it to write like a full, blog post or whatever, in one shot. So getting SMEs, to look at it. And the way you can stand out, as an agency producing content with AI, applying a human expert, so like an SME layer, and then also an editing layer, copy editing, proofreading, line editing, that sort of stuff, making it more succinct, giving it a real voice, which you can do as well. I think Annie's going to show us some ways that you can upload content and have it write in a certain tone and voice and that sort of stuff. But anything less isn't going to pass, and you're not actually going to stand out, and your clients aren't actually going to stand out. So my main takeaway with AI and content is that AI isn't replacing people. It's a tool just like any other. And so it behooves us to actually integrate content into our workflow, learning the ins and outs of what it can do, what it can't do, what we want it to do, and what we don't want it to do, right? Because Amanda's saying here in the chat that her PubCon talk next week actually counters a lot of what I'm saying, right? This is how I use AI, right? And this is how I've seen other people use AI. Maybe Amanda uses it in a different way, and I would love to, I'd love to hear that and love to hear those disagreements. I think these conversations and debates are super, super useful. So this is how I've used AI. But overall, and how I've seen our customers use AI, but overall, using it for content can help your agency grow faster, because you're able to save money on overhead. As I tell people on sales calls, et cetera, I would never push people to lay off a person, right? I've been laid off before. It's not fun, but this can be a great way for your full-time people to use AI to increase the amount of work that they're able to do, right? Producing the same level of work, but doing more of it. You can improve results for clients by doing it this way. And you can even increase your capacity to deliver work to clients, because we all know that capacity is a problem for agencies, right? I've generated hundreds of millions of leads for agencies over the years. And a lot of times we hear, like, we actually need to pause for a couple of months because we just don't have the capacity. We just don't have the people to deliver it, right? This is a way that you can get capacity in an easy, an easy-ish way, working this into your workflows. So thank you. I'm John Doherty, founder of Editor Ninja and Credo. I'm Doherty JF on all the social media. So anywhere we can be social on media, I am there, and I am likely social. And then my email is just john@editorninja.com. So I'll turn it back over to Purna and our lovely other guests. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, John. I love this. And exactly as you said, there are always multiple different perspectives. This is still new. It's in the nascent stages. So we're all going to approach it, come across it differently. And ultimately, as for those of you, tuning in, learn from these different perspectives, see what's going to work for you. But that's really the richness of today. We're seeing lots of comments, lots of praise in the comments, John, for you saying great info, lots of people 100% in alignment, idea storming, initial drafts, and so on. But Amanda, I would love to, before we jump to Andy's presentation, now, John came at it from the SEO point of view. You are the actual publisher point of view with Search Engine Journal. Can you share just a couple of minutes of what do you do differently? What do you see differently?
Well, first of all, right now, I will, I'm so glad, Purna, that you spoke to the newness of this type of technology. And, we can talk about how, we've had rapidly developing and rapid adaptation and adoption of technology before, but I don't believe, at least in my history of the industry, that we've ever seen anything become adopted by users and, either just in the people who are in our industry or who are not so fast. And I think the fact that it is so new, to your point, makes it very murky in terms of what the best practices are. And so being in publishing, I tend to err on the side of, well, I say this with respect to a lot of my peers in the publishing space, but we don't want to get busted for having AI write a lot of our content. And so I tend to err more on the side of, anything that's going to be public facing. I very strongly encourage, my team, at least, and our writers, to avoid using, trying to pass off AI generated content as your own. And one of the reasons why I say that is because there is so much ongoing litigation, for example. There are a lot of high profile lawsuits with celebrities, for example, saying that a lot of these LLMs were trained on their data. And there was actually a really good op-ed by Benedict Evans a couple of weeks ago about this, where he's explaining that the LLMs might not actually retain the copy on which it is trained, but it's basically trying to mimic it. It's using it to, it's trained to emulate those human speech patterns. So even if you do, you could make the argument that, oh yeah, this is like original content because it's not exactly verbatim what somebody else has written, but it's based off of somebody else's ideas. And so it's just very tricky, I think, to try to then take that copy and, say like, yes, this is original. And, it's not sentient, not yet. It's going to have childhood trauma as long as we keep training it long enough, I think. But, it doesn't have original ideas either. So I feel like that can sometimes be a slippery slope as well. Now, that is not me trashing AI. I love AI. I joke with my team all the time. I have a filter now because AI helps me like translate things into nicer language. So I love it for that. I loved having it fact check and, well, not fact check, I'm sorry, tone check a lot of copy that I might be publishing. So my letter from the editor, for example, I use it to ask. Thank you, moderator. But I do. And I think that there are a lot of really positive use cases for it. So yes, that is, John, please don't hate me. Or, if you do, then that's your prerogative. But
I don't hate people. I love it. I love it. I love the difference of, of perspectives. And also, like, just to make sure I'm not construed wrongly, I completely agree with you. I also think no thoughts are unique in the world. We're all influenced by other people. But I think this is why I'm saying, you need a human. You need a human to take it, to massage it, to use the ideas, to use it to form an argument, right? And also, and I will say, I think this is a downside of AI because there's no citation, that sort of stuff. We don't know where it originally comes from. So like when we do research in the past, right? You take a quote, you take a snippet from someone else's site, you quote them, you cite it, all of that. Those are very real shortcomings of AI, which I completely forgot to mention. So thank you, Amanda. I think that's absolutely something we have to take into account.
Totally.
And from the publisher POV, you deal with this in very different ways. You look at it from a very different perspective than someone like myself would. So super, super valuable perspective. Thank you.
Thank you for yours as well. And I saw somebody in the chat said, I need this tone check tool ASAP. So what that thank you, Scotty. So my tone check tool is essentially Chat GPT, and what it can be helpful for is to put original copy in, which arguably could be said like, okay, then you're just giving it more training data, but that's a talk for another time. And asking who it thinks that the intended audience is for that particular piece of copy. And when I've tested this, and I can't take credit for that idea, a colleague of mine gave me that idea. She suggested it. And it's really interesting, some of the results that it will give you. And it's helpful for then, what I like about that is that it gives you feedback that helps you fine tune what you've already written. And so fine tuning your own work. So I do really like it for that capacity as well.
That is awesome. We've learned new things. We've got two different perspectives so far. Amanda and John, we're going to hear from you again, but let's move on to Andy. Andy, we're so excited to hear your perspective, really from like the content marketing and then a completely different point of view. So this is everyone tuning in. I'm sure you've been in like one of their situations, and like one of the, you're going to learn from all of these and take what matters to you. Andy, can I pass it on over to you?
Sounds good. Yes, I'm happy to share my screen. I was invited to do some sort of use case type stuff, and but as I'm listening to John and Amanda, I'm literally like changing my slides real time. I have some content and perspectives. So because it's a panel, I'm going to allow myself the freedom of just thinking through and extending on some of that thinking. They said, I get this question a lot, and we basically just touched on this. Can AI write articles? I think it's a strange question in a way, because there are so many different things involved in creating content. I never thought of myself as just a writer. I think of myself as a content creator or a content developer, content strategist. So there's all kinds of things. I like to categorize these really into two primary use cases. One of them is to train the AI to be like your audience, data-driven empathy. And the other is to train the AI to be more like you, your voice and tone. So these elements up there in those boxes are really where I'll have one prompt where I train the AI to be like my audience. And then these things in the middle are where I have another set of prompts where I train the AI based on my content, copy and paste in a bunch of emails, summarize Andy's style. Great, it figures out my style. And my next prompt says, in Andy's style, write an email promoting this article, copy and paste in an article. So there are, this is one way to think about AI, and there's maybe like definitely millions of ways to think about AI and use cases, the infinite use cases. But as a content marketer, I think this way. It's like the goal of marketing is to connect a person to a brand. The goal of AI is to better understand an audience and to more quickly create more comprehensive content. Those were just slides from like an AI for content marketing session. I'm going to go through now the thing that I had planned to do and talked about, which is partly just AI for search, content strategy, but also for search. And I'm not going to use fancy tools. I'm paying $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus, which gives me the large language model GPT-4. But also, if you go to settings in beta, you can turn on advanced data analysis, which up until last week was called Code Interpreter. And then you can upload stuff to the AI. Then you can ask for charts to be drawn by AI. It's like way more fun in my book. So when you start a chat, you just go down to advanced data analysis and you'll get that plus. So now you can upload, the HTML for a page, or you can upload a CSV file, or you can upload anything at all. This changes the game, because you're going to see every time you see an export button, you're going to get different ideas. You can literally just upload and export, or you can export and upload a file and just say, what should I prompt you to get insights from this? Or what type of analysis can you do from this data set? And it will help you get started on the analysis. The first thing I'm going to do, Purna will appreciate, this is a content strategy use case. And I'm an SEO. I've done SEO for 22 years. I've done AI for 22 weeks. So it's that makes me extremely advanced in both. It's a weird time to be alive. We're all kind of new to this. So this is really like partly just experiments, properly categorized as experiments, because I don't have GA4 data to report on the lift for many of these turnarounds. But you could see what you think. I'm going to pretend to be a spaceport company. I'm pretending to be a spacecraft launch services provider. I'm pretending here to target commercial satellite operators. Okay. So that training it to be like the audience sounds like this. Far better to give it your ICPs or your personas or your briefs on your buyer. If you don't have that, this prompt will get you halfway there. Build me a persona of a commercial satellite operator who works for a global telecom company and list their roles, their goals, their challenges, their pain points, and list their decision criteria for selecting a spaceship launch services company like mine. Okay. It's actually pretty good. I mean, it ingested the internet, so it has some sense for these jobs. There's a million, job positions online and tons of other stuff. It ate up. But I immediately looking at this, just based on my initial research, I know that there's some things missing from here. This doesn't mention risk. This doesn't mention satellite ride shares, other topics. I found those and I just have it added, right? I never take it for granted. I'm always trying to improve on the response it gave me. And then either starting a new chat or putting it right into that chat, add the following decision criteria for this launch services company, how they decide: geopolitical considerations, rideshare opportunities, insurance and risk management. My audience definitely cares about insurance and risk management. We're launching satellites for them. Next step, I'm going to copy and paste in my page. Kind of a crappy page, not very impressed. Any of us as digital strategists could look at this page and just say, yeah, there's 6 things it should have done. We're just going to, for this exercise here, I'm just going to take it as is and copy and paste it. I checked the rankings. It ranks 28 for spacecraft launch services. I'll do the conversion first and then the SEO, right? Let's fix the mousetrap and then add the cheese. So the prompt sounds like this: review the following web page content. How does it align or how does it not align with Jessica's information needs? The persona, that's what it gave the persona's name. Copy and paste that in here. Great. Oh, I did this twice. Now I'm calling it Emily. So how did it align or not align? Potential misalignments with Emily's information needs. Now, having been part of the planning process for literally like hundreds of websites, we're a web development company, 20 plus years, maybe 1,000 projects. My framework for looking at web pages to basically, how well does this page emulate a sales conversation? How well does it answer questions and address objections? How well does it add evidence to support those answers? Answer evidence, call to action. That's the structure of a high-performing service page or product page or sales page. So really, this is an immediate opportunity, right? I can see like this didn't mention this stuff. It should probably mention this stuff. So getting some ideas. For my next prompt, I'm actually going to give it another page for reference. Maybe it's just positioning. Maybe, I don't do these. Maybe other people don't do these either. Let's just take a look. Copy and paste in another page. Create a matrix comparing the two and show your thinking. Kind of magical, kind of impressive, right? Feels like magic. Some of this AI stuff sort of feels like magic. These are the prioritized information needs of my buyer. This is how well I address those information needs and did not. This is how well my competitor addressed their information needs and did not. And this is how none of us address their information needs. That's a black and white binary check marks, check or X. We can actually ask it to shade in some more nuance. Show me the extent to which we addressed or did not address their information needs. Okay, moving on. I already know how to make this a better page, but I don't just want conversion rate improvements. I want traffic improvements because I'm a struggling little spaceport on the, surrounded by powerful competitors, and I want my spaceport to succeed. So I can find keyword semantically related key phrases by simply doing searches and putting these on a list. Just by typing in my target key phrase, I see like rocket launch and CubeSat and space flight are related phrases. Write those down. People also ask box, which I think starting this week is now called more questions or something. These are semantically related questions. Clearly related, expand, collapse. I got a bunch, put these on the list. And a huge shortcut, often overlooked, just search for your target key phrase and scan down and see if Google bolded any words, that you didn't search for. I didn't search for satellite at all, but satellite was bolded. Why? Because it's a semantically related phrase. Market Muse does this for you. Just copy and paste that list. SEMrush does this for you. But the next prompt, I'm going to have it actually categorize those key phrases because there's a lot of noise. I'm looking for topic clusters, basically. And it does that beautifully. And then the next prompt is very detailed. Bear with me. Build a table with 3 columns. In the first column, list all the persona's information needs. Prioritize them. In the second column, I want you to show me conversion clarity on a scale of 0 to 5. That's the web page's ability to inform and persuade. Inform and persuade, right? It's all about empathy and satisfying the audience's information needs. In the third column, let's do keyword relevance. To what extent does my page include or not include the related key phrases for that information need? This is a great cheat sheet for improving any page. It's got the cheese, it's got the mousetrap, it's got the prioritized information needs. Like I could just, many of us, any of you, all of us could look at this and say, hold my beer, I know how to make that a better page. You could do it right now. Like it's very obvious, right? So that kind of AI-driven analysis, good for search, good for conversion, good for marketing, good for business outcomes. I don't think there's really a question. Do I care about perfect accuracy? Not really. Or bias or labor market impact. I just want to do a better job. I'm playing the sport of digital. I'm trying to win. So this is the kind of thing that helps me a lot. And yes, you could, I didn't know how it scored that. So let's ask, how do you score these things? Oh, cool. I like your metrics. And then obviously, if you wanted it to, you could have it take the next step. Not write the page per se, but let's just get an outline. I don't want you to write a page till I've seen your brief. Show me the brief and then we'll write the page, right? So I'm taking incremental steps, right? I don't think anybody could argue that this is aligned, I think, with Google's, Webmaster Tools best practices. I'm trying to make a high quality page here. And there they go, right? This is the recommendations. This is an example of a framework or an outline. These are the general topics and the questions I should answer and the keywords that I should include. Choose your own adventure. If you want to go let it write a page for you based on that, great. If you want to edit this, change it, improve it, great. But that's an exercise based on an existing piece of content that it's reading, current performance, competitive analysis, target key phrases. I'll do a couple more for us. This one's about uploading data to find phrases that you missed. Google Search Console, if you choose a page, I choose a page here about an article I wrote about making social media videos. And then you just ask, I'm going to ask AI to tell me what phrases I missed. First, I exclude the branded key phrases. I've narrowed down to that one URL, which you get just by clicking. Just click on a URL and it makes that filter. Turn on click-through rate, turn on average position, export that. I'm giving you Search Console data, upload the file. I'm giving you Search Console data on the performance of a specific URL. Can you analyze? And it does. Next prompt. You are an SEO expert. You are highly proficient at keyword analysis. Merge the rows with similar queries into single rows with a representative marketing key phrase. I just think it's got a lot of data already. Let's tighten it up. And I don't just say key phrase. I'm putting marketing key phrase. Don't just put topic, put marketing topic. That extra word really helps sometimes narrow it down. Combine the data and provide a link to download. Anytime you ask AI to manipulate a CSV file for you, always get the link to download. Open that link. Boom. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Next step, I'm going to compare it to the page. Here's the page for the data you've analyzed. Evaluate this content's key phrase usage and frequency against the key phrases in the data set. Copy and paste. Cool. It does that. And then, I respect, it's doing its work. You can watch it work. You can click on show work and see the Python scripts that it's writing to do this data analysis. Here we go. The money prompt. Ready? Suggest edits to that page. I'm not rewriting. I'm just suggesting edits that would help it rank higher by better indicating its relevance for the key phrases in the data set. But focus your recommendations for including phrases that are not on the page yet, but that do appear in the data set. Remember, it's like accidental rankings. If you rank for a phrase, but that phrase doesn't appear on the page, it's just good SEO to go back and check to see if you incorporated that key phrase or not. I don't think that's spam. I think that's ethical, sustainable marketing. It's not blue sky keyword research. I'm using phrases for which I already rank. And then I wanted to, of course, make suggestions that improve the flow and clarity. Don't do any keyword stuffing. I want to see you improve the flow and clarity, as well as the key phrase reference and key phrase relevance, and highlight the phrases for me. I will share these slides. Take a screenshot if you'd like. That looks good. Read that. That's fine. What's wrong with that? There's nothing really wrong with that. This reads pretty good to me. I'm not, and it's incorporating key phrases for which the page already ranks. The idea, of course, that it ranks higher for the primary target key phrase in this use case, but also, there are no pages that rank for just one phrase, right? I'm going to also improve the rankings for all of the dozens or hundreds of other phrases for which, are the closely related topics. Semantic SEO, you get the idea. Got time for another one or two here. This one is a way to get more traffic without higher rankings because you have some underperformers that rank, but that don't get a lot of clicks. The click-through rate, based on its search position for some things, is kind of lower than it should be. What are your pages that have lower than expected click-through rates based upon their search positions? I don't know any marketers that can rattle that off. AI is very useful for that. By the way, I'm just doing gap analysis. That's all. I'm doing gap analysis. I'm giving it data, web content, pages. You can upload HTML files. I'm giving it keyword data, having it compare it to pages, showing it competitor pages. I mean, it's very difficult for humans to accurately do gap analysis looking at a body of work. To tell someone what's not on this page, hard to do. But AI, brilliant, right? It's one of its superpowers. So that's a theme in what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go to Google Search Console. I'm going to focus it just on my content marketing, which is easy because all my content marketing is in a directory called /blog. Focus it on /blog. Exclude all the branded queries because I'm not worried about branded queries at the moment. Excluding URLs with no clicks didn't work for me. I can remove that, but the export button gets me that file. Now, I need to see the title tags of these, right? I want to see which because I'm going to ask it to edit title tags to improve click-through rates. Title tags do not appear in Google Search Console, but they appear in GA4. So I'm going to make a report. It's just pages and screens that has title tag as the primary dimension. And I click that little plus to add a secondary dimension, the URL. I don't need any metrics here at all. I'm just want to see a list mapping together title tags to URLs. Click the export button and then open the file and delete those first 9 rows because it's just noise. ChatGPT will choke on that. It's like it adds more load. Like, why bother? Just open it, please, and like tidy up your files. There might be irrelevant things in here. I could have deleted all of these other columns probably as well. Now, I'm giving you data from Google Search Console. Can you analyze? Of course it can. Now, I'm giving you data showing the title tags for those URLs from GA4. I've learned since I made this slide that I could upload both those at the same time. Again, I'm using advanced data analysis, so I get that little plus button. Remove all non-English titles or non-first language titles. Remove all special characters. Remove the brand from the end of the title tags, right? Like it's gonna, I'm bad at Excel, right? But I know how to prompt, so I can have it do these things for me. And then merge these data sets and give me a link to download. No problem. Here's your merged deduplicated data. Check the file. Looks good to me. Looks good. Look at those. B, C, D, E, that's the Google Search Console data. F is the URLs. G is the title tags. It also added other columns that are unnecessary. Again, I can delete those as well. Now, you are an SEO expert at analyzing search performance and the psychology of click-through rates based on their search positions. Which of these pages has a lower than expected click-through rates based upon its search position? It made a chart useless. That chart doesn't help me. Keep scrolling. The next thing it does is actually write the title tags for better click-through rates, and I love them. Nothing wrong with these. What's wrong with this? Is that spam? Is that unethical? Is that unsustainable? If there's any Google search engineers watching, I would invite you to, to comment on this. To me, that's just helping people find my content by making it better aligned with the psychology of my visitor. I believe in my content. I wrote it. Each article I write takes me around 12 hours. I only write one every 2 weeks. I am intense on quality. I never complain that I don't write. I don't have a right to rank unless I made something awesome. So really, I'm just merchandising my content here with title tags that align better with psychology. Perfectly ethical, I hope to say. By the way, how much more traffic would I get if all these elevated up to their expected click-through rates based upon their search positions? 700 clicks. There it is. It did that. It estimated that for me. Thank you, ChatGPT. I've got a bunch of these. I'm at time, Purna, so I think my next one is about content strategy, but let me just stop sharing and make sure I'm still online.
No, you're good. You're good. We've got time, Andy. Why don't you take another 5
Okay, I'll do
minutes?
one more. I'll do one more.
Yeah, let's do another 5 minutes for sure. This is great, valuable stuff.
I'm trying to impress you.
We can go a little over, as Anton said too, because we're the last session, so we have that advantage.
I'm here for Anton because I'm working today, and he's my boss because he's running this event. But I'm also kind of trying to impress you, Purna and Amanda and John. So this is one last one. We'll do one last one, and then I would love your feedback. All of our content strategies have gaps, okay, but they're not easy to see. So I'm going to do gap analysis, but this time based upon semantic distance. I don't know how to calculate semantic distance. I'm just not a good statistician. Again, I can barely use Excel. What is AI doing here? It's making lower skilled people like me more productive by, giving us this super powerful, agent that can go do stuff for us. So semantic distance would normally be outside the reach of anything I could do. This is an ugly slide. I have a team of designers who I didn't get any help from, but suppose you've written a bunch of stuff. What didn't you write? What's that one in the middle that you missed, right? For fun. So I mentioned Purna's book. I uploaded my book to chatpdf.com, which you can upload PDFs to. There's very high character limits. And I said, what are the most important topics that are not covered in my book? It nailed it. You didn't mention personalization. You didn't mention sales marketing alignment. I really respected that answer. So what didn't you do? I'm going to find out. What articles did I not write? I'm giving same files. I'm giving you data about search traffic to URLs. I'm giving you data about title tags. Merge those into one file, provide link to download. Let's look at the link. Looks good. Next prompt. So it's got my title tags, my URLs, my search performance, and my GA for post-click website visitor behavior data. You're an expert content strategist and you're an SEO and you're looking for new topics to cover. Infer topics from titles on the spreadsheet. Identify gaps using semantic distance analysis. Suggest articles and topics that would fill the gaps. That's it. It's actually quite simple. And it comes back with a bunch of interesting ideas. I like a lot of these. These are things I've never written. These are things that are very close to the things I've written. These are almost like pillar content, like things that are right there in the middle. Anybody could do, right? We all have this data. You have that, right? This is just how to, they call it your elbow, your lifetime body of work, your LBOW, not your physical elbow, but anyone who's been publishing for long, and I've done content marketing now 17 years, I've had 500 and plus articles, right? But what didn't I write? What did I almost write? What's the thing that's adjacent to everything that I wrote? What's the gap in the middle of all this body of work? I asked it to expand upon that. I wanted more shading and nuance. So I said, expand that to 50 subtopics. Look at what it did. Not very good. I should have said 50 marketing subtopics and proceed with semantic distance analysis based on that gap identification. This is clearly bad work, right? It's topic cluster includes numbers and it's not that useful, but doesn't matter because this is just ideation and I'm not looking for perfect accuracy. These are great topics. These are right there, right? Advanced GA4 setup for SEO. I could do that, explorations, showing the engagement rate for articles that have, which things perform how, good and bad in search and which things attract visitors that convert and whatever. That's an article I never wrote. I could totally do that. Like this is showing me exactly what I probably should write. And then for fun, I frequently do this, like visualize it, right? Go into a meeting, you want a chart, visualize it, right? In an article, need a graphic, visualize it, right? This is advanced data analysis feature of ChatGPT-4. So you can actually just ask it to make charts for you, which you see me do a couple of times already. Draw the semantic distance analysis and make a red X showing where that thing would fit into the analysis, fit into the gap. Look, there it is. See it? Right there. That's the one that I never wrote. Not actually a useful chart, just kind of eye candy. But that's an example of how you can use AI to inform a content strategy. I've got other things like this. This is EAT analysis of me and my competitors. There's like keyword alignment things in here, competitive analysis using AI based, giving it all of your competitors' websites and showing what you didn't, the key phrases they used, but you didn't, making recommendations based on that. Some of these things work quite well, right? What commercial intent keywords did they use, but I did not. That's kind of helpful. But then one last quick thought. I don't use it for all this stuff. For what it's worth, where did I put it? I do audience research. Yes, I do. Brainstorm ideas sometimes. Write outlines. I don't use it for that personally, nor do I use it to write first drafts. I do use it to write social media posts sometimes because it's just an amazing summarization tool. I have experimented with creating visuals, and I've used visuals from ChatGPT like you've seen in articles. I definitely use it to write email marketing copy. I'm going to use it in about 20 minutes to write a newsletter that goes out tomorrow. I have not personally used it to do SEO edits. I do use it to write descriptions, and I've played with it to convert between formats. I don't use it to edit my copy. I don't use it to write. I've played with it to write service pages. It's up to you. Do what you like. Keep that passionate part of your job that you like doing. Keep doing that. Don't let a tool make you sad about what's, because it does something that you like to do what you like to do still, but also look for opportunities to be, let's call it like a 20% more efficient. That would be a huge gain. Then you just have to ask yourself what you're going to do with your extra time.
What an inspiring message to end on, right? It's just 20% better. And I love how you broke, everything down. Clearly, you saw all the raving comments that have been coming in. But thank you so much for that. Amanda, John, I'm so curious, now that you've seen a different perspective. Amanda, I'll come to you first, and then we'll go to John. And then we have lots of questions in the comments, so I'll start to address those as well.
Yeah, sure. So, Andy, I have to say, when you were speaking to, the vast basin of content that you've produced over, more years than I think either one of us would like to admit at this point, I felt so seen, because it was that whole idea of like, oh gosh, what haven't I written about? And I think that is such, and here's the thing is that a lot of the models are only trained up to a certain time. A lot of them are, ChatGPT, for example, it only has data up to 2021. So if I ask it to, out of curiosity, write something in the style of me, it has that limited data set. However, asking it to identify things like content gaps or things that maybe you missed, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with the idea of tone checking. This is another way that it can be used to enhance your own original content. So I was really happy to hear, I felt seen in a good way that, hearing you talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's gap analysis. If you just take that perspective, it's like what keyword or topic or a question, is missing from this web page, website, content strategy. Just fill in those blanks, and then go look for data that would answer the question. I think that's kind of like a cheat sheet or framework for coming up with your own interesting prompts and use cases. It's just very useful at identifying things that aren't there, and whether or not you want to use it to fill in that blank is up to you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think the fill in the blank part is really interesting because, one of the perspectives that I've seen that, I tend to, maybe I'm a little biased about it, but I tend to agree with it, is how, the best practices for using AI to help simplify the things that stand between us as folks who work in content or work in digital marketing, et cetera, that stand between us and, our most creative potential. And, I think that you touched on some of those tools as well, having it do a lot of the research for us or even simplify the research for us. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I use it to help summarize like very long op-eds when I'm doing research, for instance. So, I think that that's one of those things that if people forget that there's a right way to use it, to help creatives do their best work. I mean, we could argue about that all day or discuss that all day, I feel like, but I'll just leave it at that for now.
I just want to know when Andy GPT is launching, because that was friggin' awesome. that was cool. I love the approach of like, take your data, because like as an SEO for a long time, and I'm actually pretty good in Excel or Google Sheets or whatever, but like take these keywords, find the semantically related ones, bucket them together. Because like as an SEO, literally this morning I was talking to a coaching client and I was like, yeah, there's like, this one is like 720 and this one's like 260. So there's probably like 4,000 searches between all this. Like, yo, I just got my answer, but that's how we've done it for decades, right? So I love the approach of like, let's take this analysis, let's improve that. We can assign it a role and have it like draft some ideas, and some of them we're just not going to do, right? Some content ideas that you haven't written about this. It's like, yeah, because I think that topic's stupid, but the idea is there. And at least now we know that, right? And someone else can go and write that, or someone else has written that. It's like, oh, I've been looking for this, so I can share someone else's work. So I don't want to write it, right? Like I love that it can just like, it's exactly what I was talking about with like ideating. It gives you ideas. It shows you, kind of where you've missed stuff. It can, the semantically related stuff. It's just like, we've done this stuff on hard mode for a long time. And it feels like this is like you know, having all the SEO tools and whatever, like we had to go get our own data for a long time. And then all these tools came up and now we can buy the data from them. And now we can just ask, you know, in some ways, for some things, we can ask AI to, you know, to give us that analysis, and we don't have to go and spend 6 hours finagling Google Sheets. We can write 4 prompts and upload 4 files and we get the same analysis.
Yeah.
So yeah, phenomenally done.
I never thought about it, but just now in this conversation, I'm realizing, and SimilarWeb, is that our friends here today?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Or other tools? What about using AI to find the gaps in your competitors' content and finding, you know,
Yep.
like a green space to go fight a battle where they're not present? You know,
You got it.
I could do that today. I could.
What have they written that I don't have, and what do they not have that I could have? Yeah, I love it. And that's the question we've all asked for a long time, right? Where are the opportunities?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. And that's something that you know, there's probably 5 prompts. You know, it's not really a you know, you could take similar web data and do analysis of your competitors and find out like where they're weak, that you could be strong, or the things that no one's covered yet. That's